Ghosts and paranormal activity have been reported and dated back for centuries. Ancient cultures and tribes all have their own stories of the boogeyman, strange creatures, and ancestral spirits. What happens then when these spirits and stories, when the global population explodes and access to phones and cameras become more and more easily attainable? The reasonable conclusion would be that more and more evidence would arise to support the existence of these entities. So here we shall look into 5 incidences in which ghosts were allegedly caught on camera. The Brookside Theatre in Ramford, Essex, United Kingdom. It is known to have a supernatural environment and atmosphere to it. However, in 2014, CCTV footage would capture events that many support as the location's most credible source of evidence. Around 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, cameras would capture chairs and tables being lifted into the air and moving about the room. Some people also claim that there, in that moment, was a small shadow-like figure in the left, presumably that of a small child against the wall. A little on the fence with that one myself. Though at the time of the video's recording, the building itself should have been completely locked down, as all workers and anyone who would have been visiting the location would have, or again should have, left the premise hours before. Backtracking a little bit though, reports of a child or at least childlike spirits are not uncommon to the location, so perhaps there is some credence for the aforementioned claim. Those who work at the theater often report seeing a child whenever experiencing any sort of paranormal event within the building. However, all of this seems to be something that people there have grown more and more accustomed to, as when the video was discovered, the owner did not seem at all surprised, rather claiming it as, quote, finally having proof of the creepy events that were plaguing the small theater for a while. A little fact to point out though, which is kind of left out by a lot of the retellings of the story, is the events of the night prior, which involved a more paranormal sense of nature, but albeit more explainable, as a psychic medium by the name of Roy Roberts has been performing a show just a few hours prior to the recording on the CCTV. Could it be possible that the psychic's presence may have amplified the paranormal activity that had already been there, allowing there to finally be recorded proof of the location to then use to support that? Well, the owner sure thinks so, because he did plan on calling in paranormal investigators to research the location, although I am unsure if he has or has not at this moment. But write down, however, what you think may have caused the objects to levitate and move across the empty theater. Of course, what list is not complete without mentioning this video somewhere in it? Yes, this is the notorious video of what seems to be either an angry spirit or poltergeist activity tormenting a woman within a Malaysian hotel. The video starts, however, with a chair being moved, only to then cut to a room in which a woman is seen alone, sitting on a chair within a rather open room. Behind her we can see another chair that slides out on its own, and the woman appears to get a little bit nervous. Moments later, the chair in front of her would move on its own as well, causing the woman to jump up and fall to the ground in fear. She then tries to escape the room, but once she begins running, the entity moves several objects to the doors in which to block her in. She then panics, turns around, and hits her head on a table, and a few seconds later appears to be unconscious. There is a longer version of the footage, I believe, that does show the woman regaining consciousness, but I'm a little foggy on what happens later. For the most part, this is what is given to us, and could it potentially be true? With Malaysia having a rather rich and large culture surrounding ghosts and entities, it isn't too shocking to think that something like this could happen, but sadly it's not true in this case, although it may seem to be inspired by other stories out there, because thanks to Reddit users and an extremely easy Google search, something larger channels seem to exclude, this video is actually from a small Malaysian film dubbed Banganam, and I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, I apologize. I'll post a link to the movie's trailer down below in the description, so check it out. Honestly, it looks pretty good. I just hope they have translations. Also, happy 2-year anniversary to the film. I just wish people would stop mistitling this clip as something else. Some rather terrifying footage has been captured in an empty hospital of all places. Great. Only silver lining here is that it is nowhere close to where I am. Unfortunately for anyone living in Honduras though, as the next video is captured there. Captured at the school hospital Universitario, and Spanish. This video claims to capture what seems to be a strange, distorted figure popping out from a door frame. All of this is apparently filmed by a student who stayed late into the night, and the original post was made on an entertainment page called La Orto Dimension and quickly went viral. At the moment, I am unsure if this video is indeed faked or not, though clearly there will be people on either side of the argument. What is known, however, is that the hospital did have reports of a doctor who took his own life within the building, and those there today claim that his spirit does haunt the halls, messing with the lights and giving people an eerie feeling of not being alone while in some rooms. Until I gather more data on this one, I'd like to know your thoughts down below. Personally, I'm a little iffy, but it certainly did take me back the first time watching it. I did not expect anything like that to pop out. It's believed that sometimes after death, spirits can repeat events or actions that they had performed while alive, more or less becoming a loop of themselves in the afterlife. Stories about spirits along the sides of roads or once-a-year hauntings can be found scattered across the world. This video, however, takes things a bit further with possible evidence of not only these characteristics after death, but potentially even a ghost car. See, officers in Garden City, New Jersey can be seen giving chase to what seems to be either a fleeing criminal or a delusionally drunk individual. The date may be a little bit blurred out, but it is roughly around 11 p.m. as to when this video was taken, so darkness could potentially play a factor in what is to come. This chase would last for several minutes, though the video is sped up, and would conclude with something that has people's heads a little bit spinning. Now, from what I can gather, as I cannot really pinpoint any specific police reports relating to this chase, is simply this: that this is simply just an ordinary car chase that somehow got big through the use of false titles and little background check. I do not know that 100%, so don't quote me, but many people have pointed out that the fence this alleged ghost car moves through does not continue through, stating that the car was able to make a sharper turn to avoid the fence, while the officer would turn and abruptly stop upon seeing it, hence why we can only really see a portion of it. If you have any information about this, please let me know down below. I would love to hear the full truth and story behind it. Unfortunately, I just couldn't find all that much information to support it. So this last video is one that is a little hard for me to grasp as well, since it does seem to be rather strong evidence that paranormal events could exist, but both sides give rather over-the-top stories to explain it or explain away. This video was captured in December of 2008 by a teen of an Ohio family visiting and touring historical locations within the city of Savannah, Georgia, which, if you did not know, is said to be one of the most paranormally charged cities in the country. This particular cemetery even has stories of childlike spirits as well as many more, so when this footage of what seems to be the ghost of a child surfaced, many took it as proof. In this video, you can see a small figure running in the distance, with the individual who filmed it saying it would then proceed to hop up onto a tree and later drop down. It is hard for me to understand the whole climbing aspect, but the dropping down does share in the much brighter light reflection of the original figure, so perhaps it does actually play into one another. Now, is the video real or not? That's the hard part of the story. At the very least, it is not a hoax. Experts have combed through this on either side, skeptic or not, and they seem to agree that this footage itself was not manipulated in any way in post. But many do claim this to be either faked or misunderstood. An example I'm going to bring up is SciFake's analysis of the video, since it at the very least made me look a bit deeper into it. Over there, it is claimed that the boy seen in the background is the same as the hooded figure besides the man at the end, and when the climbing and dropping are simply people with a flag or grabbing at hanging moss. I'm going to stop right there. since they do seem to be a little full of themselves with that conclusion, just because they completely exclude everything else but their final solution, because you can see the hooded person far earlier than what they are claiming, so right there it doesn't seem to be the case. But I will give them credit for the hanging moss claim, because I do believe that there may be maintenance workers or someone behind the large tombstone cleaning up the tree a bit. That I can completely get behind, and it seems very likely to be the case. But the bright drop down is still something I cannot explain, and I don't really believe in the flag reflecting light and being put down. It just doesn't really fit in the context of being in a cemetery. Why would you wave a giant flag? Because that's pretty big, it's very far back. Why would you wave a giant flag and then just slam it down? That I don't understand that. But what do you think about it? Could this potentially be evidence of a child spirit running around the cemetery happily? Leave that and all your thoughts on each video down below. Don't forget to write which one you most enjoyed. If you wish to see more videos and content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, as well as the cute little bell to stay notified. Also, check out my Patreon if you wish to support the channel and get some goodies out of it, as well as my social media. Links will be across the screen like always. I hope some of these have got you guys at least thinking. Stay open-minded and skeptical at the same time, but don't forget, stay spooky, and I shall see you all next time.